You won't believe the level of entitlement I had to deal with when my HOA's self-proclaimed queen decided my EV charger was her personal property. What started as an annoyance turned into a full-blown war of petty revenge, and trust me, the trap I set for her was something she never saw coming. If you enjoy crazy HOA stories, entitled neighbor drama, and ultimate revenge tales, make sure to stick around until the end and don't forget to subscribe for more wild stories like this one, because this roller coaster is going to leave you speechless. It all started the day I moved into what I thought was going to be a peaceful suburban community, the kind of place where neighbors waved at each other in the morning, kids rode bikes in the cul-de-sac, and everyone just minded their own business. I had recently invested in an electric vehicle, something I was proud of because it was both eco-friendly and efficient for my daily commute. The house I bought came with a private driveway and, most importantly, I had installed my very own EV charger on the side of the garage, connected to my own meter, fully paid for out of my own pocket. It was supposed to be a simple luxury and convenience for me, until the nightmare that was Karen from the HOA decided otherwise. She was the kind of neighbor you hear horror stories about online but never think you'll actually encounter in real life. Platinum blonde bob haircut, oversized sunglasses even on cloudy days, yoga pants, yappy little dog named Princess, and an endless supply of complaints about everything from the color of people's curtains to how loudly the wind dared to blow. She wasn't even the HOA president officially, but she acted like she owned the neighborhood, going around handing out warnings she printed on her home computer about violations that weren't even real. At first, I brushed off her antics as typical suburban nosiness, until I noticed something strange happening with my EV. I'd wake up in the morning, go to unplug my car, and notice the battery wasn't where it should have been. Sometimes it was lower than I left it, sometimes only half charged. I thought maybe my charger was defective, so I called the company, but they found nothing wrong. Then, one night, I came home late from work, parked my car, and went inside without plugging it in because I was too tired. The next morning, I went outside to grab something from the garage, and that's when I saw it. Karen's big, ugly SUV parked halfway into my driveway, plugged into my charger like it was her God-given right. I stood there, stunned, because not only was it plugged in, but she had dragged the cord across my lawn to make it reach her vehicle. She wasn't even discreet. The gall, the entitlement, the audacity, it was like she thought my property existed purely for her convenience. When I confronted her about it later that day, she gave me the most dismissive smirk I've ever seen and said, "Well, as part of the HOA community, we're supposed to share resources. You don't mind, do you? After all, it's for the environment." I told her, firmly but politely, that no, she absolutely could not use my charger without my permission, and if she needed one, she should install her own. She rolled her eyes and said, "You're being selfish. We're neighbors. It's not like electricity costs that much anyway." And then she just walked away. That was the moment I knew this wasn't just some misunderstanding. This was entitlement at its finest, and I wasn't about to let it slide. At first, I tried the logical approach. I locked my charger with a protective case, the kind you need a key to open before you can plug it in. For a week, it seemed to work, until one morning I noticed scratch marks around the lock, like someone had tried to force it open. My suspicions grew, so I decided to set up a small security camera near the garage. Sure enough, 2 nights later, I caught Karen on video with a set of bolt cutters, trying to break into my charger. When she failed, she actually left a passive-aggressive note taped to my garage door that read, "You're making this community toxic with your selfishness." I sent the video to the HOA president, but here's the kicker, the president was Karen's best friend. Instead of taking action, she accused me of spying on neighbors, and told me to be more accommodating. At that point, I realized no one in the HOA was going to help me. It was me versus Karen, and I was going to have to get creative. So, I came up with a plan, a trap that would expose her entitlement once and for all. I bought a decoy extension cord that looked exactly like my EV charger cable but wasn't connected to anything. Instead, I rigged it to a small portable power supply that I set to drain itself completely when plugged in. Basically, anyone who tried to use it would think they were charging, but instead, their car battery would actually lose power. I set it up one Friday night, and sure enough, by Saturday morning, there was Karen's SUV parked in my driveway again, plugged into my fake charger. I hid behind my blinds, watching her strut back to her house like she had just won some invisible battle. Hours later, when she tried to leave, that smugness disappeared real quick. I watched with pure satisfaction as she got into her car, turned the key, and nothing. Her car was completely dead. She tried again and again, and when it finally sputtered, it only crawled a few feet before dying completely in the middle of the street. She started yelling, waving her arms, and calling her husband on the phone, demanding he come help her. I came outside, pretending to be concerned, and asked, "Everything okay?" The look she gave me could have curdled milk. She accused me of sabotaging her vehicle, said she was going to call the police, and screamed about how I had no right to hoard my charger. I calmly reminded her that I had video evidence of her trespassing and stealing power, and that if she involved the police, I'd be happy to share the footage with them. Her face went pale, she muttered something about misunderstanding, and stomped back into her house, leaving her dead car stranded in the street for hours until a tow truck finally came. You'd think that would have been the end of it, but oh no, Karen wasn't done yet. She started a smear campaign against me in the neighborhood, spreading rumors that I was aggressive, unstable, and hostile to community values. She even tried to get the HOA to fine me for unauthorized modifications because of my locked charger. But here's where the twist comes in. While digging around for information to defend myself, I discovered that Karen had been skimming HOA funds for years. She had been using community money to pay for landscaping in her own yard, private dog sitting services, and even personal Amazon orders. I gathered every receipt, every bank statement I could find, and compiled it into a neat little dossier. At the next HOA meeting, where she tried to publicly shame me for being uncooperative, I stood up, cleared my throat, and projected all the evidence onto the community hall screen. The room went silent. The president, her best friend, looked like she wanted to disappear. One by one, the neighbors who had once sided with her turned against her. People were furious, demanding explanations, demanding accountability. In the end, Karen was forced to resign from any HOA involvement, her little empire of control crumbling right before her eyes. And as for her charging habits, let's just say she had bigger problems now, because once the HOA board reported her financial mismanagement, she was facing not just community outrage, but potential legal trouble. The cherry on top, she eventually sold her house and moved away, tail between her legs, leaving behind nothing but bitter gossip and a reputation forever ruined. And me, I still have my EV charger, safe and secure, never touched by anyone else again. Sometimes I walk by it and chuckle, remembering the look on her face when her SUV died in the middle of the street. It's the little victories that taste the sweetest. So, if you ever deal with a Karen in your life, remember, patience, creativity, and a little bit of cleverness go a long way. Because entitled people might think they can get away with anything, but when you set the right trap, they trap themselves.